It might not mean as much as it did last year, but bragging rights are once again on the line in Bedlam this Saturday. Here's a quick breakdown of each team's current status, keys to victory, and final prediction for the game. Let's start with Oklahoma. I'll be honest, I had to take a 2-hour break to collect my thoughts post-game because if I hadn't, this video would definitely not be safe for work. Let's jump right into the offense. I need to start with the positives here, and one that comes up game in and out is the play of Eric Gray. At this point, I feel bad for the guy because it almost feels like the Sooners are wasting his amazing season. The good news for him is this year will probably net him a nice NFL check. 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, 8.4 yards per carry, and somehow Oklahoma still lost. I can't say what I wrote in my notes during the game about Dillon Gabriel's performance, so let's just say it wasn't good. Missed passes and key moments reared their ugly heads once again, and when he was on target, there were untimely drops. In all honesty, the offense as a whole outside of Gray was abysmal. Play calling that didn't involve handing it directly to Gray was poor. Outside of the one time on 3rd and short with every West Virginia player in the box and no safeties over the top where Levy decides to run it straight into the teeth of the West Virginia defense for a loss. I'll give credit where credit is due. There was a good drive near the end of the 3rd quarter that resulted in a touchdown and a great 2-point conversion. Outside of that, the play calling was bad and the execution was bad. 1 of 11 on 3rd down and 0 of 2 on 4th down will lose you the ball game 10 times out of 10. Perfect transition to the defense, which allowed 4 4th down conversions on 5 attempts. Hold on. Remember, we start with the positives here. First half, outside of the final West Virginia drive, the defense played well. Was it a product of West Virginia making mistakes? Maybe so, but it was working. The defense also forced 2 turnovers, winning Oklahoma the turnover battle. It was nice to hear Ethan Downs' name get mentioned multiple times on the game, and that's all I've got. Penalties once again showed up. It felt like the defense was constantly on the field, and one look at time of possession is all you need to verify that. As has become a weekly occurrence, the Sooner defense would make a couple of great plays and then just fold in key moments. 4th and 10 in the 4th quarter. Defense folds, leading to West Virginia tying up the game. The entirety of the final drive of the game, which I believe included a linebacker getting trucked by a 5'11", 200-pound quarterback. A backup quarterback who ran for nearly 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. Throughout that final drive, there were key moments where the Oklahoma defense could have buckled down and got the stop the team needed, but it just never came. The result was yet another in a string of completely embarrassing losses for Team 128. In my opinion, a lot of the blame for the play of this team has to fall on the coaching staff. However, many former players have been vocal in the other direction, placing much more blame on the back of the current players. At the end of the day, the program as a whole isn't living up to expectations. And while a win against rival Oklahoma State and bowl eligibility won't fix the problem, it would at least be a step in the right direction. Oklahoma State was just inches away from winning the Big 12 last year. After a blazing start to the year, the Pokes have struggled as of late but plan to turn things around in Norman. And what better matchup for their offense than against the Sooners' struggling defense? OSU returned a nice crop on the offensive side of the ball, including 3 starters along the offensive line, 3 of their 4 top leading rushers, and 3 of their top 5 returning receivers from the 2021 season. Most notably, Spencer Sanders returned for a final ride in Stillwater. Sanders has gradually improved over his 4 seasons and has significantly cut down on his turnovers while continuing to be a force through the air and on the ground. Unfortunately, Sanders has been injured, and over the past 3 games, OSU has turned the ball over 9 total times. He returned off the bench late in the 3rd quarter to help lead the team to a victory over Iowa State last week, and I assume he will be the starter going into Bedlam. While he hasn't had much individual success against the Sooners, I do expect him to have a career night Saturday. Junior Dominic Richardson leads the team on the ground, and while he hasn't truly had a breakout performance this year, a game against a rival would be a perfect time to shine. Bryson Green, Brennan Presley, and John Paul Richardson each have 35+ receptions on the year and form a solid receiving corps. The offense as a whole has had some tough outings the past 3 weeks, averaging just 12 points per game during that span. But the return of Spencer Sanders and a matchup against a porous Oklahoma defense might be just what the doctor ordered to get things back on track. While this Oklahoma State defense may not be porous, it is far from the juggernaut it was a year ago. In 2021, the OSU defense ranked 9th in the nation in scoring and 5th in rushing and total yardage defense. Many key contributors left, including 6 of the top 8 tacklers on the team and defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Flip to 2022, the defense gives up 12 more points per game and over 150 more yards per game. What is actually a bit mind-blowing and honestly had me double take, this OSU defense gives up more yards per game and points per game than Oklahoma's, which is a stunning fall from grace. The good news is that the defense is coming off its most complete performance in Big 12 play last week against Iowa State, making key stops in the fourth quarter and forcing 5 total turnovers. Defensive end Colin Oliver hasn't had the same impact he did as a freshman last season, but still leads OSU in sacks and looks to get into the Oklahoma backfield early and often. The Pokes also have 2 ball-hawking safeties in Jason Taylor and Kendall Daniels, who have 4 and 3 interceptions respectively, and will both look to make an impact Saturday. There haven't been a whole lot of good things to say about this defense so far this season, but rivalry games are weird and anything can happen. Keys to victory. Assuming Spencer Sanders is on the field, he will have to play well in order for Oklahoma State to win this game. The 2 losses he has played in were 2 of his worst performances of the season. He plays to his potential and we could see OSU cruise to a victory. Against teams with good run games, the Pokes have allowed 142, 199, and 224 total rush yards. Eric Gray is one of the best backs in the nation, and in order to slow the Sooner offense down, he will be the first player they need to corral. Everyone in the state knows this is one of the most lopsided rivalries in college football. Gundy and the Pokes will need to forget about the past and focus on the present in order to double up against the Sooners. If Oklahoma wants to win this game, they will need to put points on the board. The best way to do that will be to get Dylan Gabriel going in the passing game. It's been a tough few weeks, but he and the Oklahoma receiving core will need to get on the same page or it will be a long day for Sooner fans. This Oklahoma defense struggles with mobile quarterbacks. Well, really any quarterback, but especially mobile ones. Spencer Sanders is a constant threat on the ground, and the Sooner defense will need to control the line of scrimmage and keep him in the pocket if they hope to win this game. Say it again. One more win is all it takes to become bowl eligible, which will be of key importance for the future of this program when it comes to getting more practice time in and boosting team morale. This might not be a key to victory Saturday, but it is a key to many future wins. I'll be honest, after last week, my faith in this Oklahoma team was truly tested. It took a lot of strength not to turn the game off at times. I picked Oklahoma to win week in and out, and I'm starting to run out of ways to trick my mind into picking them. However, it's Bedlam, which means crazy things are bound to happen. Maybe this Oklahoma defense will actually show up for a full 4 quarters. Who am I kidding? That's not gonna happen. Oklahoma wins a shootout because I refuse to pick OSU 45-41. Please reach bowl eligibility, Sooners. My sanity depends on it. Speaking of sanity, how insane is the new SEC going to be? Check out my video here of how to realign the conference, and as always, have a great day and see y'all at the next one.